Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Tuesday edition of Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to carry. It's Tuesday. You know what that means. Our good friend Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show will join us first. Second portion of today's show, we're going to be joined by a senior analyst there at Pro Football Focus, Steve Palazzolo, get his thoughts on the draft, the winners and the losers, and obviously what he thought of the Florida Gators that were drafted this past weekend. But first, let's go to the Titan MR hotline, and we're joined by good old Buddy Martin. You can check his show out Monday through Friday, about 9 p.m. Eastern. If everything is
if it works
going okay, it usually starts around 9. Good morning, buddy. How are you?
Well, last night it started about 50 minutes early. I'm the technology wizard that I am, but we persevered. And thank you for hanging in there with me.
No doubt about it. Well, buddy, first, before we get into the draft, some news and notes around campus in Gainesville. Baseball had a big weekend series over Vanderbilt. They host Stetson tonight, and then they travel to Kentucky this weekend. Softball, believe it or not, buddy, it's like I told you, what's guaranteed? Death, taxes, and Tim Walton taking his girls to Oklahoma City.
You said it, yeah.
This is the last series of the year.
Can't be. It's barely. Oh, it's May, isn't it? Yeah. It's
well,
May, yeah.
let me backtrack. It's the last. I know for a fact it's the last series at home against Texas A&M this weekend.
Yeah.
I believe it's the end of the regular season. I could be wrong.
Right.
I'm sure somebody will correct me. Also, we need to give a shout out to the men's tennis team.
Wow,
They are
number one.
They are the number one overall seed. They've kind of flown under the radar. Number one overall seed. And that cranks up this week, as well as the women's tennis. I'm not sure where they're ranked, but they're hosting the first round here. So that's some news and notes for what's going on with Gator athletics. I know lacrosse, I believe. Lacrosse is strange because they're only playing the SEC. We're the only team in the SEC that plays girls lacrosse.
Can't keep up, Shane. I can't keep up. It's too much. Yeah. I can't keep up.
Yeah, it's pretty confusing. John says, are we going to bring back the high school roundup since we start regional this week in baseball talk? Yes, we do plan to have that as well. I appreciate that, John. I'm glad somebody likes that. Good morning to you, Nat, as well. All right, buddy. So let's start first with Gator baseball since I talked about that. Then we'll get into the draft. Sully's got the boys where they've won 10 out of the last 12. Take the series from the number 2 ranked Commodores. The next 2 weeks are huge, buddy. We play at Kentucky, we got Georgia, I believe, and then we end the regular season with the number 1 team in America at Arkansas. We got to win both the series against Georgia and Kentucky. Be nice to sweep them, but Florida is back in that mix now to be a top 8 national seed.
Yeah, they could host too, which is what they need. I'll be honest with you, I'm just catching up to baseball because I was consumed by the draft. I don't usually get that involved in the draft, but there's so many good stories. In the baseball team, they're kind of interesting. They're sort of got a dual personality. They boot the ball away on defense. They just found a guy in the bullpen. They're starting to find their power alleys. Shout out to all my Cowboys, by the way. They're doing really well for them on the team. So got to come up with a nickname for them. But yeah, baseball, I can't tell you how huge that win was Sunday. It was just, and they needed somebody to come, and they did Barco pitch. I thought he pitched really well, and Leftwich is getting to be a force out of the pen. He really is, and now if they can just keep driving men in, but they left a lot of guys on base. They got the power guys going. Fabian now starting to really bang it. So this team is dichotomy. I can't quite figure it out. I don't think that they're a national championship team, but you never know. And Sully, I mean, he is stressed out. I mean, I don't blame him. I get stressed out watching the team. And he said that the last 3 outs, his heart was pounding. He just
Yeah.
and it was really a nail biter to the end. So big win for the Gator baseball team.
Yeah, it's a unique squad because you always think of Sully's teams: great pitching, great defense,
Yeah.
and timely hitting. Defensively, they struggled this year. But look, here's the thing: you said that you don't know if they're a national championship squad, buddy. They were the number one team in America. They have as good a talent as anybody in the country, and they're getting hot at the right time. Dan says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, that A&M is the last series of the year. So basically, we're going to play this series. Then we go, I think, the SEC women's softball tournament. Gosh, it's either Alabama or Tennessee, and I can't wait next year. Finally, the Gators are going to host the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
And then we'll host a regional, and obviously if we win, we'll host a super regional.
Right.
We'll be a top 8 seed. So that's your news in softball. So yeah, I think baseball is right where they need to be, and they have a chance, and they really, really need to find a way to get in that top 8 to host. The big news though, buddy, obviously was the draft. We haven't spoken with you since then.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to speak with Steve Palazzolo from Pro Football Focus after we're done with you, get his thoughts on the winners and losers of the NFL draft and what he thought about where the Gators went. But, we knew Kyle Pitts. You know what's interesting, Kyle Pitts? Do you see what number he's going to wear, buddy?
I did not.
Well, number 8. So, the NFL changed their rule, or the owners did this year.
That's right.
Where if you're a skill player, you can wear 1 through 49. So you're going to see linebackers, defensive backs, running backs wearing these single digits.
No clue.
Linebackers get to wear single digits too. It's going to be very, very strange seeing Kyle Pitts wear number 8.
They just need to put that name bigger on the back. We don't have to worry about it. So we'll be able to tell. You remember when you used to watch a game and you knew all the numbers? You didn't worry about, because you knew the 80s were wide receivers and that what offensive line, it was just a different game. But I guess that's the way it is. And I guess it's okay. Look, this draft thing, it's so much to learn, and I'm not knocking them. But I'm a little bit tired of the experts telling me how a team did. Like, for instance, they're downgrading Urban for taking Travis Etienne, right? And I don't know why he did it, but I can guarantee you one thing: he has a reason. And I think one of the reasons might be that he plans to use him in the Percy position. I don't know how fast he is. I don't know but he had a reason.
He's extremely fast.
Yeah. So, he put him in the slot. He can put him in there. Think about what he did with Percy. And that position was invented when that became a staple for Urban in his career. So I'm thinking he thought he had not another Percy, but a guy who could maybe emulate him.
Here's the thing. The rule of thumb these days is you don't draft a running back in the first round.
Right.
Two went. Najee Harris went to the Steelers,
right, which
he kind of fits the mold of a Steelers running back.
He does.
And then Etienne. I absolutely love Travis Etienne. The reason why, buddy, I think the best running back in all of football is Alvin Kamara with the New Orleans Saints. Yep. I think the second best running back in the league is Christian McCaffrey, because they both can do so much.
Like Percy.
Derrick Henry is the old school running back, right, and he fits what the Titans want to do. But I'm telling you right now, Travis Etienne is as close to Alvin Kamara as you're going to find.
Great point.
The guy can catch the football. He's very explosive. He can run. So I think it's a good pick for the Jags because Etienne is going to score a bunch of touchdowns, and that's what you want. You want a guy that can tote the football and score.
Right. Now, no offense to your guest coming up. I'm sure he studies and knows this. Look, you and I, if we had to do one thing a year, we could probably get close. But the grades the handout are, look, does he really know what these coaches had in mind, or when they drafted these guys, why they got him? They said, well, he didn't protect his quarterback. Yeah. Look, I know a guy who played 14 years in the league who wasn't drafted. Oh, wait, that's you. So so they haven't always gotten it right. You know what I mean? And I know it's a system, but I'm a little tired of this Mel Kiper syndrome. I have a great respect for what Mel does, and he works hard at it. But there are too many baby Mels out there.
Well, there he is. That's what all these different websites and podcasts are out there for. Do mock drafts, grade players. There, people make a good living doing that. We're speaking with Buddy Martin here on the Titan More Hotline. We got a couple of Facebook Lives, and you and I talked about this last night on your show. It comes from Rick. He said Trask is going into a very good learning situation. It could be the next starter for the Bucs in a few years. That is true. But there's also a very good chance he won't ever be their starter. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is because I said last night on your show, buddy, in my 14 years, I was on 4 teams that drafted a quarterback in the first round, not the second or third round, the first round. Out of those 4 first-round quarterbacks, only one lasted multiple years and became a damn good player, and that's Carson Palmer with me in Cincinnati. The other 3 didn't even make it 3 or 4 years in the league, and they were done. So the reason I say that is I think it's a tremendous place for him to go. He couldn't have asked for a better situation. But there's a lot of things that factor into the NFL. Mm-hmm. Who knows in the next 3 or 4 years when Brady decides to retire, Bruce Arians and that crew may not even be coaching there. Mm-hmm. Secondly, in 3 or 4 years, there may be another hotshot college quarterback coming out. And the Bucs may be picking in the first, want a quarterback in the first round. You just never know. But he's in a good situation, and we'll see what happens. I think on their roster right now, outside of Brady, is Blaine Gabbert and Trask, and I'm sure they have somebody else that'll be going to camp. But it's a good situation for him. But that league is so crazy, you never know what's going to happen.
All right, shame on you for just absolutely destroying a good story, okay?
It's a great story. It's a great story. I'm just letting people know that just because you get drafted and people think in the future, because I lived it with 3 kids.
You got to come in here with a bunch of facts and screw up everything, okay? We're talking about dreams here, all right? Dreams. And look, I get it. I understand all that. That's not what we're thinking about right now. We're thinking about a young man who waited for his chance. Shane.
No, I agree.
You, of all people, Shane, who got your chance in Florida, and then you made the best of it in the NFL. This young man deserves this opportunity. Look, dreams do come true for some people. I mean, Pitts, you mentioned, my gosh, what a story he is. Kadarius Toney, all we talked about was what he couldn't do and what his routes were. Look at him, the 20th player taken. And then you take the really good story, one that will be a 30 for 30 one day. That will be Kyle Trask, who really waited his turn, got a chance. I just want to say that out of those 8 Gators that were drafted this year, which is the most since 2017, that the one thing that surprised me, and you said it didn't surprise you, was the fact that Trey Grimes didn't make it. Did you see his tweet?
I did not.
Yeah, he said, threw dirt on my name. That's a shame. I'll charge it to the game.
What does that mean?
That means that he got dissed, and that obviously he's going to use that to motivate himself. I know a guy well, and you know him too, who's a coach, not in Florida, who told me unequivocally that Trey Grimes would be the greatest receiver in the history of Florida football. Okay, I'm just saying. And you respect this guy's opinion, and I would. So what happened? I don't know. You had some ideas. You had some thoughts last night about the lack of separation, maybe, or whatever. What did you see in his game?
I think Gator. He did a tremendous job for the Florida Gators, no doubt about it. But when it comes to evaluating players and stuff, they have their grading system, and they, like you said, buddy, they could all be wrong. Trey Grimes could end up playing 10 years in the league for all we know. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. He's a little stiff. He's a big body, catches the ball in traffic well. But there's a bunch of big body guys out there. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it doesn't mean he cannot be a really good player in the league. Right. The biggest thing Trey Grimes needs to worry about right now, and it's good that Brian Johnson, the former Gator quarterback coach, is on his staff. He needs to he will make the team if he performs in preseason and training camp on special teams.
You said that last time. You're absolutely right about that.
He probably won't be in their rotation. Mm-hmm. He'll probably be if he makes the team, he'll be the 5th or 6th receiver, and he's going to have to contribute on special teams because, again, people don't realize if you look at a 54-man roster in the National Football League, about 10 to 12 of those guys are people you've heard of and make a ton of money. The rest of them are all minimum salary guys. You're going to last 2.5 years because that's what the average career of an NFL player is, because they're going to use you for 2 years. Then they're going to cut you and find somebody else young that can run just as fast as you. So I understand where Trey Grimes is coming from, because there were 8 rounds when I wasn't drafted, and there was like 14 quarterbacks picked, and I outlasted all of them but Mark.
Well, how did you do it? How did you do that?
How did I do what?
How did you last all that time and survive and play?
Well,
what's the secret to what you did?
Well, the secret is, buddy, I back in the day, I don't know, I was never diagnosed with this, but I believe I had a photographic memory. I never studied my playbook one time. I looked at the playbook when the coach installed it in training camp, or if they flew me in for a preseason or whatever.
Right.
I could learn a playbook, what everybody's doing, just looking at it one time. I never had to look at it again.
Yeah.
And plus, I was like another coach in the quarterback room.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I wasn't a great player. I mean, I was only 190 pounds in the NFL. So I was very small, but it's all about being a good teammate, understanding your role. Everybody wants to play, but especially at the quarterback position, only one dude can play. And it's usually going to be the first round draft picks. So
interesting. That journey is, you had a great one. Now, I want to say, let's remember that this is how this thing works out. The guy who was playing the quarterback position when Kyle Trask came aboard and fate that night in Kentucky and made his mark and started, what would have happened if Felipe hadn't got hurt? We'll never know. But Felipe didn't get drafted. He was drafted in the second round. I mean, look at drafts. You just never know what's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of free agents. So there's going to be interesting things ahead for a lot of people. I don't know if Felipe will make a roster or not.
Well, I think Felipe's in a great spot, honestly, buddy.
Atlanta.
Atlanta has obviously Matt Ryan, and they just signed A.J. McCarron to be his backup. And I'm sure they have some other young guy, but I think Felipe, it's a good situation. He could end up being their third guy because he's going to be cheap. And
available.
Cheap and available. But, some teams only keep 2 quarterbacks now. But Felipe's got a lot of talent that the NFL people want to see. Buddy, I got a question for you. Are you tired of living with chronic joint pain?
I am. Can you tell me how to fix it?
There are new breakthrough treatments at QC Kinetics here in North Central Florida that not only alleviate your pain, they speed up the healing process. Schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. You got to check them out. Rick says here on Facebook Live, the Bucs show 3 QBs as active: Trask, Brady, Ryan Griffin, Blaine Gabbert is listed.
Who's Ryan Griffin? I ain't ever heard of him.
Well, like you told, there's a bunch of those guys in the league. He says Blaine Gabbert is unrestricted free agent. I thought Blaine was on the roster, but maybe
he's gone. He'll be gone.
Well, why do you think that?
I don't know. Maybe they need a backup. Trask is not ready to play. I wonder if we get to play any preseason games. I don't know.
What's that?
I wonder if Kyle will play some preseason games.
Oh, he will. Yeah. They only have 2 preseason games though now, so that's what's strange.
That's true.
But, he'll play. The Bucs, I can tell you, it's a perfect scenario. The Bucs are the only NFL team I've ever seen. When it comes to them, they say, what does this franchise need? Well, they really don't have any needs because they have every starter back.
They do. They did really well in re-signing guys in the offseason. And they're ready to go again. They're going to be right up there again this year. I tell you, I'm going to start following the Bucs closer. I've dropped. Shane, you don't know this, but I used to cover pro football a lot. When I worked in New York, I covered the Jets and Giants. I covered Broncos for 8 years. I used to really like the game. Lost a little interest. I'm kind of getting my blood boiling again. I'm kind of getting interested in again. Yeah, I think maybe it's a draft, but and having teams in Florida that matter. Hey, the Dolphins apparently had a great draft. So we got 3 teams here to be looking at and following. We're going to follow the Jaguars, what's happening there. Now we know about Trask and the Bucs, and they're going to world champion. And the Dolphins had supposedly, according to your friends, the experts, had a great draft. So it might be interesting this year in the NFL in the state of Florida.
Yeah, I heard a stat yesterday, buddy. I'm going to probably butcher this, but in 2019, or maybe it was 2018, Remember when LSU beat Alabama? It was like 48-42 or something like that in Tuscaloosa with Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
You remember that game?
Yes, I do.
The stat is every starting wide receiver, running back, and quarterback for both Alabama and LSU were first-round draft picks.
No, it can't be right.
It's true.
Every one was a draft pick. That can't be right.
Why can't it be?
You can't have that many first-round draft picks out of one game.
Yes, you can. Think about it. You had Joe Burrow and Tua were the two quarterbacks. You had Jamar Chase playing wide receiver, who just became a first rounder.
Right.
You had
How about the linemen? What about all the linemen, the offensive linemen?
No, I didn't say the linemen. I said every wide receiver, running back,
I missed that part. I thought you said every starter. Okay, that's different.
Every skill guy
I can see
Alabama
I can see that.
and LSU was a first-round draft pick. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's the craziest stat I've ever heard of.
Let me tell you, a long, long time ago, before you were born, there was a big game played in the Orange Bowl, the first night game. And Texas and Alabama played in that game. And there was some massive amount of players that got drafted. That was Namath was one of them. But I mean, they had like 8-9 guys that got picked and played in the NFL, and probably maybe out of 15 out of those guys on the field. Texas was loaded. Alabama had great players. So it could happen. Certainly Alabama's got the players, no question. I got one for you. As a group state, when you talk about draft picks from a state, not from a school, all right? This is a very interesting stat. You'll like it. Florida had more players picked than any other state in 2021. Had 37. Texas had 33. That's a little bit surprising. Of course, you got TCU and all them. Georgia had 21. All those great draft picks. And by the way, did I miss something, or did the guy they picked to be the all-SEC quarterback last year, Jamie Newman, not get drafted? Hello. How great he was. Yeah. He's going to be great. He'll be picked. What happened to him? Anyway, to finish up, I'm sorry I had to get that in there. California had 19, and this is South Florida had 17.
Yeah.
South Florida.
I will throw out a little memo for my home state, and I don't know if it's still the fact, but pretty much every year I was in the league, buddy, the state of Mississippi had more players in the NFL per capita than any other state.
Oh, I have no doubt about that. Did you ever research back to the archives, Johnny Vault's teams?
Oh, yeah. My dad played for Johnny Vault.
Oh, he played for John? Okay. Because there's a guy who gets not mentioned. He won 6 conference titles, dude.
Yeah.
He had a couple in a national championship, and you have Glenn Griffin and all those guys. Yeah, that was interesting. Anyway, finishing up, Louisiana 13, Broward County 12. North Carolina 10, Ohio 9, Michigan 8. So just a little different approach to it by state, you know.
Well, what's crazy is American Heritage down there where Marco Wilson, Pat Surtain, and there was like 7 kids drafted from that high school team. It's crazy.
Yeah. Anybody?
Refresh your vehicle and your brand with the vehicle wrap from Route Spot. May is your lucky month at Route Spot. I keep thinking it's not May, but it is May. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with Buddy Martin here on the Titan MR Hotline, we'll be joined shortly with Steve Palazzolo from Pro Football Focus, breaking down the NFL draft and what happened with the Gators. What else you got there, buddy?
Well, let's talk about the draft for a second. The Gators, the guy that we thought might go higher, Stone Forsythe. I don't think he's got great feet, but he's a big guy. He went to the 6th round. Some people had him going 3rd, 4th round. Didn't happen. So the 8th, the guy who surprised me going this high, Evan McPherson. He's a heck of a kicker. 5th round's high. I mean, to me, I usually get him a free agent. So all in all, a very good draft for Dan Mullen's team. And we'll see where they go from there. But Mullen's comments on Forsythe, congratulations. The Seahawks are getting a player who's patient and smart and pass pro, incredibly reliable, and a true leader on the offensive line. Excited to follow your career. So he had a little kudos for his guy.
I saw a tweet or something. Somebody was talking about, that they're always on Dan about recruiting, buddy.
Oh my gosh.
The reason I said that is because I can't remember. I should have screenshotted it, but it had something to do with the 2 first rounders and Trask being the next guy, late 2nd, last pick of the 2nd. None of those are Dan Mullen recruits. Well, my argument is he ain't been here for 3 years. You can only have so many, I think Evan McPherson was his recruit. I don't know about Stone and those guys. but he's put a lot of people in the league at Mississippi State. I think he'll do the same here.
Hey, Shannon, I know you're not a big horse racing fan, but I got to give a shout out to my folks up in North Marion, the Rice family, and the horse that they had that won the Kentucky Derby. This is the horse racing capital of the world. And then Spirit won the Derby, and when he was bred and sold as a youngling for $1,000, dude. $1,000. You could have a horse race. My good friend John T. Kerr up in Atlanta has got a couple of horses down there with him. He bought a couple, and so he said his horses are being trained by the same people, the Rice family up in North Marion. So shout out to the folks up there for the great job they did and winning another Derby. Many Derbies won by Ocala Thoroughbreds.
There's no question. Have you researched the Hot Rod Charlie story yet, buddy?
I have not, but I got to because it sounds fascinating. You told me about it last night.
It's the greatest horse racing story I've ever heard because usually people are involved in horse racing, grew up in the family, but these are like 5 or 6 college football players that bought a horse.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, the pin hookers are always the heroes. They're the ones who grab these horses and take them to people and say, buy this horse. So these horses, they have this big sale here, and they found this this Christy Whitman, a woman, found this Medina Spirit for $1,000. Shane, you and I could afford that. $500 apiece. We could have bought that horse, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you could. I could have given you $100.
Yeah. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. From now until May 31st, get our preventative maintenance plan for $169 and save almost 40% off the normal cost. Also, any maintenance scheduled between now and May 31st, you'll be entered to win a Nest thermostat installation. Buddy, speaking of the Kentucky Derby, I forgot about this too when I was looking this up. So this day in sports back in 2019, the 145th Kentucky Derby, the stewards disqualify the first across the line maximum security for interference. The long shot Country House declared the winner. It was the first DQ in race history for a race infraction. Remember that?
Yeah, there was one, not a race infraction. There was one when I first Derby, they disqualified him for having illegal drugs. The winner by Majestic Prince. I'm not sure now. Remember that? No, I do. I had forgotten it though, Shane. You're right.
I did too.
Forgotten. Yeah,
I totally forgot about it.
Yeah. Hey, Shane, can I get this in real quick? My Ocala dudes on the baseball team. I think I just came up with the name. The Ocala Thoroughbreds. Okay,
I like it.
All right, so here they are. Sterling Thompson. He looks like he's got a swing. He's going to be a player. Judd Fabian, we saw him blossom. He's from Trinity. Sterling's from North Marion, just like that horse that won the Derby. Then Kirby McMullen, of course, and Hunter McMullen, both from Forest. So we got some dudes on that team, and those are the Ocala Thoroughbreds. So just remember you referred to them.
I like it. We got a text here for you, buddy, on the Titan Lamar text line. It comes from Jonathan. Jonathan wants to know, buddy, what's going on with Gator Bait? Can I still buy a subscription?
Wow. You know what? I'm glad you asked because you can, and we just appreciate you supporting that. We've kept this baby going during the pandemic, and it's just been all out of pure heart and people working hard. I got a great bunch of people, most of them volunteers, and you can subscribe, and please do. Go to GatorBaitMedia.com, GatorBaitMedia.com. Sorry for the commercial. And you can get in there and just log on, and you get a plan. You get to buy it monthly or annually. The best deal is annually. And we got some terrific writers, Franz Beard, Thoughts of the Day. Cassie Hill is probably one of the best Gator beat reporters out there. She does a great job. And Ainsley Lee does a lot of softball stuff. And we got a young intern named Maddie Schmidt who just started. You'll see her on TV. So we're really proud of what we're doing. We're hanging in there. We're still here. Go to GatorBaitMedia.com. Sign up. We could use it.
So it's all done digitally now.
Yeah, all done digitally. There's no more print, no more magazine, no more print, no more paper. It's all digitally, and it's every week we pound those stories in there. And I challenge you to find any place else that has more in-depth coverage and better perspective. If you're a Gator fan, than Gator. I'm really proud of this group of people.
Buddy, who you got on the program tonight?
Well, it's Cassidy Hill's night.
That's right.
She hasn't told me her guest yet. Because what we have is apparently, I think Jackie will be back. Hopefully, Jackie will be back, and they'll break it down. I'm gonna tell you something. This sounds sexist, but these women can talk football. They know their stuff. I mean, you'll be blown away. And I hate to say it like that, but a lot of guys are still prejudiced. They don't get it. If you want to talk some ball, Cassie and Jackie can tell you. And I think you'll find all of our listeners and readers and our listeners have found this out about Cassidy, particularly. She's on it. One of the most respected beat writers that cover Florida sports.
Yeah. Well, all right, buddy. We appreciate you joining the program today. Have a good week, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Thank you, Shane. Appreciate it. Always good to be on with you. Thank you.
Yep, that's Buddy Martin joining us on the Titan MR Hotline. We're going to take our first time out of the program. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Steve Palazzolo of Pro Football Focus. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Harder Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Nike, Palmetto Moon, Skechers, and coming summer of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visors, Tailgate and Rooftop Bar. We'll see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR Hotline, and we're joined by our good friend Steve Palazzolo from Pro Football Focus. You can follow him on Twitter at PFF_Steve. Good morning, Steve. How are you, my man?
Doing great. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. All right, so let's do this. Before we get into the Gators, I want to get, whether it's yours or Pro Football Focus as a group, the winners of the 2021 draft.
Yeah, I think at PFF, we're very much in lockstep with some of the teams at the top. First off, the Bears, making that move for Justin Fields. Even if it doesn't pan out, it's just the process was sound. They had to do it. They, no offense to Andy Dalton, but the Bears, they need starting quarterback going forward. And that was an unexciting offseason coming out of there with Andy Dalton as their starter. So I thought it was a great job to get up to 11 to go get Fields, who was the number 3 quarterback on our draft board. I think the Cleveland Browns are just making all the right moves. Now, this is an organization that has put they've put smart people in the front office. I think they are, if PFF was running a team, I think we'd make a lot of similar decisions, which is why we're very much in lockstep with what the Browns are doing. So from, building their secondary standpoint, building their back seven, just a process standpoint, I think the Browns are doing a great job overall. And then the Washington football team. I think they are just doing a fantastic job building that roster. They were one of the worst rosters in the league a couple of years ago, and they're just doing a nice job. And I'm kind of tying this to free agency, too. They added a lot of key pieces in free agency. You add an athletic linebacker and Jamin Davis in the first round, and Samuel Cosme, who could start at tackle in the second round, and De'Ami Brown, who could be a part of that receiving corps, making plays down the field. I just love what the football team's doing all around.
All right, so who had the worst draft?
Well, the worst weekend was definitely the Packers. You can't – tough to argue with the Packers, starting with their Aaron Rodgers news. Is he going to be the quarterback of the future? Who knows? I'm leaning no, because, when Aaron says something, I listen. Like when Russell Wilson's a little upset with the Seahawks, I just see him and Pete Carroll hugging it out and, figuring things out at the end of the day. But with Aaron Rodgers, if he says, I'm done, he's the type of guy who sticks with it. So bad weekend for the Packers. And then draft-wise, not the greatest haul by our measure. We didn't love Eric Stokes as a first-round corner, Josh Myers as a second-round center. Both guys drafted a little bit higher than our board would have said. So there's a combination of that, plus the Aaron Rodgers thing. And then I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, we're just generally anti-running back at PFF, and it's not because we don't like running backs. It's just from a roster building construction standpoint. The running back should always be the icing on the cake, so to speak, not the cake. And I think the Steelers have other roster holes. They don't have a very good offensive line right now. 3/5 of their offensive line is being overhauled. So there's still some work to do up front for Pittsburgh. I have concerns about their secondary. So going and getting Najee Harris, the running back out of Alabama in the first round, great player, but running backs don't overhaul your running game. It's really a combination of everything, and the Steelers still have some holes up front on the offensive line.
Steve, back to Aaron Rodgers. Do you think if he doesn't play for the Packers, do you think he just retires and does Jeopardy, or do you think there's a chance he could be traded to a team like the Denver Broncos?
I mean, I would lean trade. I think he wants to play. Now, he's definitely it's not like Tom Brady. There was no chance Tom Brady was going to retire. He wants to play. There's a chance Aaron Rodgers could retire. It's a lot higher than some other quarterbacks. But I expect that Rodgers to want to play, and I expect him to want to play and maybe stick it to the Packers in a different situation. I think the Broncos would be an excellent fit.
Were you surprised with Trey Lance going to the 49ers? You heard so much on Twitter and all on TV and all through the media that it was going to be Mac Jones. Were you surprised when they announced Trey Lance?
But by the end, he became the favorite to go there. When they initially made the trade, I thought it was for Justin Fields, and then I thought the second option would have been Trey Lance, because I just thought Kyle Shanahan wanted an athletic quarterback that he could just take his run game and his play action game to the next level. So I assumed it was Fields because he's the best all-around threat, as far as run pass goes. Then I thought it was Lance because he's the best pure runner. And then I thought it was Mac Jones. And nothing against Mac Jones. I think he's a better quarterback than Trey Lance right now. But I figured Shanahan was trying to hit a home run and take his offense to the next level and either take a Fields or a Lance and add a different element to it. So I hedged quite a bit. I wasn't surprised by anything. I just couldn't wait to see what was in their head, what was in Kyle Shanahan's head. He's one of the best offensive minds of our generation.
At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. Speaking with Steve Palazzolo, senior analyst at Pro Football Focus. Let's switch gears to the three teams here in the state of Florida. The Miami Dolphins, what are your thoughts on their draft? Did they make their team better?
Yeah, I really like what the Dolphins did as well. And, this has been a couple years of excellent team building decisions from the Dolphins. I think, loading up on draft capital has been important for the Dolphins. I think adding more speed with Jalen Waddle. I mean, I think when you look at that Jalen Waddle decision, we'll always compare him and his former teammate Devontae Smith, right? I mean, Devontae was more productive, but Waddle does bring that speed element. He's not Tyreek Hill. I don't want to compare anybody to the best deep threat in the league, but Waddle could be a Will Fuller type of player. Will Fuller's already on the roster, but Fuller has been just a game changer every time he's been on the field for the Houston Texans. He makes that offense better. I love the way the Dolphins are building that receiving core. Jalen Phillips might be the best edge defender in the entire draft class, getting him also in the first round. And Javon Holland, another hybrid player in the secondary, and the Dolphins have done a great job adding just versatile players in their secondary. I think it's a great way to win. And even Liam Eichenberg's going to play. I think he's got a shot to play at guard, the Notre Dame tackle. And then Hunter Long has a chance to play coming out of Boston College to be that second tight end to go with Mike Gesicki. So, yeah, I like what the Dolphins did quite a bit.
Urban Meyer, now the head coach for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think everyone knew they were going to take Trevor Lawrence. I know, as you mentioned, it's not great to take a running back these days in the first round. But I could be 100% wrong. I want to know your thoughts on Travis Etienne. I see a lot of Alvin Kamara in him, and I think he's a dynamic playmaker. And I don't know what the needs the Jaguars also had, but do you think they made a mistake taking him in the first round?
Yeah, and again, I think it's generally a mistake because it's nothing against Etienne as a player. He's fantastic, but even Alvin Kamara, we're going to see just how valuable he is without Drew Brees. You still kind of need the quarterback to. So the running back's just a dependent position. It's just dependent on your quarterback getting you the ball or it's dependent on your offensive line, or it's dependent on the scheme. ETN reminds me a little bit of Dalvin Cook, actually, where I love Dalvin. He's my favorite pure runner. I know I'm not allowed to. Am I allowed to say that here? But I love Dalvin, even though he's a Seminole. But the point is, when it's blocked up, Dalvin Cook can take it to the house. Like when you put that guy in space, that speed is incredible. ETN absolutely has that. So I don't think he's going to be a bad player or anything. But yeah, the Jaguars still have foundational question marks, including the offensive line. I like that they circled back and got Walker Little in the second round, but he's a bit of a project. Tyson Campbell's a bit of a project. Their first second rounder, the corner out of Georgia. So they've got some boomer busts to their draft, I think. But look, I'm excited to see Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. I'm an old Jaguars fan. I used to love Mark Brunell and the whole deal. So I'm excited to see Lawrence in Jacksonville and making them a contender again.
We got a Facebook Live, and I knew somebody was going to ask this. It's brought to you by Meldon Law. Don wants to know, is Tebow going to end up signing with the Jags?
If it was rumored, I could see them, bringing him into training camp, and see if he can play tight end. They don't have a great tight end situation. As far as building around Trevor Lawrence, I think they have a good group of receivers. I don't have a great group of tight ends. So if there is a team where maybe he could make an impact, it would be there, but it's still a long shot.
Yeah, I think it's first of all, I don't think there's any way he can play tight end, Steve, and nothing against the kid. I mean, can you see him putting his hand on the ground trying to block a guy like Aaron Donald? I mean,
no.
I just can't see it. And it's, there's so many guys that have played that position their entire life, and they can't play that position at the highest level. And I just don't see Urban wanting to sign. I mean, he probably wants to sign him, but he's going to have that meeting. Hey, Tebow, bring your playbook. And, he's going to cut him. I don't know. I think Tim does so many great things off the field. He does a great job there at ESPN on game day or SEC Nation. I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I love him too. You always have to preface it with he's a great guy, but and here's the thing, even when he was in the league and people were saying, oh, he'll be a short yardage runner, he was never even the best short yardage runner on his team. There was always a running back or two who was a better option. I think that's the tricky part. He was an incredible college player, had his flashes in the NFL, but it was that consistency. And yeah, tight end is really a completely different world with all the various things that you have to do in today's NFL.
All right, so let's talk about the Tampa Bay Bucks, the world champs. I can't remember, and I don't follow the draft like you guys and do all the grades, but pretty much have every starter back from a world championship team. Really no needs there. First of all, were you happy with who they took in the first round?
I don't love Joe Tryon, but look, I think the Bucks were in a very unique situation, as you said. They had no needs. They were just trying to. They were literally drafting for 2023. They're saying, okay, what's our team going to look like in 2023? And Tryon is a high upside player that we haven't seen play since 2019. So yeah, he's fine there. But of course, getting Kyle and some of the other guys, I mean, it's depth pieces now with the idea that some of these guys are going to start in a couple of years. So I think the Bucks did a good job through that lens.
And I'm going to lead into it because I want to talk about the Gators. Obviously, Kyle Trask goes to a great situation, and I think it's perfect. But like I've told people, I'm not trying to be the negative guy. There's no guarantee he will be the success for Tom Brady because I was on a team with 4 guys that were first-round draft picks, and only one of them lasted a long time, and that was Carson Palmer. The other 3 didn't even make it 3 years in the league. So there's no guarantee, and we never know if Bruce Arians is still going to be the coach. But you got to say that is a perfect fit for Kyle Trask to go into the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, it is, and you also know, Shane, you're not necessarily playing for the team that drafted you either. He's going to have, assuming there'll be some preseason games. He'll have an opportunity to show his stuff over the next couple of years. But you're learning behind Tom Brady. You get to be in that room. And the goal is, Kyle's a starter in a couple of years. It could be with the Bucs. It could be somewhere else. The league changes pretty quickly in a couple of years. But yeah, I love the situation. I'm excited for him there. I'm glad that he was the 6th quarterback off the board, which I think was right. I think that was the spot for him being, after those 5 first-round guys, being that next guy off the board. And I'm just excited for him. It was such a good story, and it was so awesome just seeing the Florida offense completely change I mean, and be that as explosive as they were for the first time in about 10 years, over 10 years, was awesome to see. So I'm excited to see that he went in the second round in a good situation.
Yep. First round pick. Everybody knew Kyle Pitts is a unique human being. Gosh, the Atlanta Falcons, I don't know about their defense. I know they struggled at times last year, but they got to have one of the most explosive offenses in the league right now.
Yeah, and I know Atlanta probably would have loved to draft a defensive player. It's just not the way the draft fell this year. So getting Pitts at 4 and adding him to the mix. Hopefully Julio Jones is back next year. There's rumors about trading him, but I just want to see Pitts and Julio and Calvin Ridley on the field. Even Russell Gage was a pretty good slot receiver last year. But I think that's how you win in today's NFL. You really want to put playmakers on the field and have defensive coordinators say, I don't know how to cover this. I don't have enough people in the secondary to match up. And obviously that's what Pitts does to a defense. We have Pitts and Julio and Calvin out there. And plus the Falcons have to try to beat the Bucs. The Bucs are going to score over 30 points a game next year. The Falcons have to try to compete with that. That's the type of league that we're in. So Atlanta, I think, makes the right move to get Pitts. And, he's going to be Matt Ryan's best friend over these next 2 years as maybe he finishes up his Falcons career.
Kadarius Toney, first rounder to the New York Giants. Do you like that situation there for the Big Blue?
Yeah, I like what the Giants are doing. We'll see what type of opportunities Toney gets. There's a ton of playmakers that they've added there. He might push Sterling Shepard out the door. He's been the slot receiver there for a while. So I think, they're bringing in Kenny Golladay and they have Darius Slayton. Both guys get down the field pretty well. It gives Toney that opportunity to work the underneath stuff that he was so good at Florida, work some of the gimmick plays, get the ball into his hands. So it's good for Daniel Jones. I know that. As long as that offensive line, again, they still have some work to do on the interior. Guards and centers might have to, find a free agent or two still before the season. But if that offensive line is better, the Giants quietly have one of the better groups of playmakers now, and Toney's a big part of that. Again, perhaps being that number one slot receiver if he's ready. And so it's good for Daniel Jones. It's good for Toney. And, we have guys at PFF that think he can be more than a slot, that he can develop into an outside receiver. And I think this gives him the opportunity to work at that and maybe become a true number 2 at some point down the road.
Marco Wilson. I've always liked Marco. I know people have been down on him, but he had a really good pro day. He goes to Arizona. Is there a good situation? I'm not familiar with their DBs there, but is it a good situation for Marco in Arizona?
It's a great situation for corners. They went in, they took a linebacker at 16. I thought they were going to be looking corner because right now they have Malcolm Butler as their starter, and then Robert Alford's the other projected starter. He hasn't played football in a couple of years. So the Cardinals have one of the biggest cornerback needs in the NFL. So I think Marco's got a great shot to at least compete there. They drafted another corner in the 6th round named Tay Gowan out of UCF. Both of those guys, I think, have a shot to see the field despite being day 3 picks. So, yeah, Arizona is one of the better places to land if you're a cornerback.
Trey Grimes goes undrafted. I was not that surprised. I know a lot of the Gator Nation was. Were you surprised he wasn't drafted?
Not terribly. I thought he was day 3. Again, I think his biggest highlights, we remember him winning at the catch point and making some big plays. And those plays are awesome, but creating separation's the more important thing for receivers at the next level. And, he's not the best in the class at that. So not terribly surprised, but he's a good productive player that does have a chance to play as long as there's training camp and an opportunity to show your stuff, because Grimes, he is a good, solid player.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, back to the quarterbacks. The percentages say that out of the 5 that were taken in the first round, 1 may be a superstar, 1 probably be a bust, the other ones will just hang around. Who do you think will be the best player out of those 5 quarterbacks that were taken?
I mean, I think you have to go Trevor Lawrence. I think Zach Wilson has some special to him and all that stuff. But I mean, if you're laying a bet now and you're just trying to play your odds, it's absolutely Trevor Lawrence. He has everything you're looking for. He attacks every level of the field. He's done it for 3 years at Clemson from a production standpoint. So he's not just traits, he is production too. 3 straight years of 90+ PFF grades. That's excellent. So I think Trevor Lawrence is worth the hype, but you also have to temper the hype a little bit and say, if he's going to be like an Andrew Luck, Andrew Luck didn't peak until year 4 or 5 in the league. He started out solid, but he became really good just before he retired. So temper expectations, but I think Lawrence is the guy that you would say, hey, he's going to be a star.
So, Steve, do you already have your mock draft for next year up and rolling?
No, I'm just trying to catch some sleep after doing 22 hours of TV this weekend. So somewhere on PFF.com, someone will have one, though. So you never get enough of this stuff.
Yeah. So, man, you do a great job. Let everybody know how they can listen to your podcast and also check out the stuff on PFF.
Yeah, we have 2 NFL podcasts that my co-host Sam and I do host, the PFF NFL podcast and then the PFF NFL Daily. And we're just cranking through all of our draft reviews right now. Wherever you listen to podcasts, just search PFF and NFL. Good
stuff, my man. Appreciate you taking the time. Get some rest, and you'll be plugging away here pretty soon for next year.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot, Shane.
Yep, that's Steve Palazzolo from Pro Football Focus. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. I'm going to take our final time out of today's program. When we come back, we'll wrap up this Tuesday edition.
Hey, Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. Hot Up with Matthews in the morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Route Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TV Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
We're looking for all type of restaurant people, managers, servers, bartenders, hosts, cooks, dishwashers, bussers. If you think you're good in the restaurant business, then give us a call.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill job fair is open now through May 15th. All you have to do is go to spurriersdraft.com and fill out an application.
We're looking for the good team members, and we're looking for people with a wonderful attitude that can make Spurrier's Gridiron Grill the best we can possibly be. To apply, go to spurriersdraft.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Center State Bank is becoming South State Bank, but we still put business first. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State will have 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. I want to thank Buddy Martin from the Buddy Martin Show for joining us on the Titan MR Hotline. Also, our good friend Steve Palazzolo does a tremendous job for Pro Football Focus. Tomorrow's program, we'll have JC. He and I will be doing our Peachland Dentistry golf picks. They're heading to Charlotte for a big golf event there, the PGA Tour. And we'll also have Frank Frangie, the voice of the Jacksonville Jaguars, also has his own show, the Frank Frangie Show, over on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Get his thoughts on what Urban Meyer and the Jaguars have done and what people expect from the Jags this year. Make sure you tell your friends and family to follow us and like us on Facebook and YouTube. You can also follow us on 30 other digital platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many, many more. Today's show's a wrap. Brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe out there, folks. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. See you later.